Respect in social dynamics is rarely about force or dominance. It's about perception, behavior, and emotional control. The way you carry yourself, speak, and respond to others quietly shapes how people treat you. When you understand the hidden patterns behind human behavior, you can naturally influence how others see your value without needing to demand respect. This topic explores 5 powerful laws of power that focus on building presence, confidence, and self-control. These principles are not about controlling others, but about mastering yourself in a way that earns genuine respect. When applied correctly, they help you avoid being taken for granted, overlooked, or disrespected in conversations and relationships. Instead of chasing approval, you learn how to create boundaries, maintain composure, and project quiet confidence. Over time, this changes the way people respond to you. They begin to take your words more seriously, value your time, and treat you with greater consideration. The foundation of all respect from others begins with self-respect. People don't just respect what you say, they respect what you allow, what you tolerate, and how you treat yourself. If you constantly ignore your own needs, accept disrespect, or lower your standards just to keep others comfortable, people slowly start valuing you less. Even if they don't say it openly, self-respect means recognizing your own worth and acting in alignment with it. It shows up in small but powerful ways, saying no when something doesn't feel right, walking away from disrespectful behavior, and not compromising your values just to be liked. When you respect yourself, you naturally set a standard for how others should treat you. Psychologically, people observe how you respond to situations. If you allow disrespect without consequences, it signals that your boundaries are flexible. But when you calmly stand your ground, it creates a clear message. Your time, energy, and dignity have value. This doesn't require aggression or arguments, just consistency and self-awareness. Self-respect also builds inner confidence. When you don't abandon yourself to please others, you develop a stronger sense of identity. This makes your presence more stable and grounded, which naturally earns admiration and respect from those around you. It's important to understand that self-respect is not about arrogance or thinking you are better than others. It's about not thinking less of yourself. True respect from others is often a reflection of how seriously you take yourself. When you practice self-respect, you teach people how to treat you, and the way you treat yourself becomes the standard others follow. Emotional control is one of the strongest indicators of personal power and respect. People may not always remember what you said, but they always remember how you reacted. If you lose control easily, become angry quickly, or react emotionally to every situation, others may start seeing you as unpredictable or easy to influence. But when you stay calm under pressure, you naturally project strength. Emotional control does not mean suppressing your feelings or acting like nothing affects you. It means choosing your response instead of being controlled by your reaction. There is always a small gap between what happens and how you respond, and that gap is where your power lies. When you learn to pause and think before reacting, you take control of the situation instead of letting the situation control you. Psychologically, calm individuals create a sense of authority. When people see that you don't get easily shaken, they become more careful in how they interact with you. They realize that emotional pressure, sarcasm, or provocation will not easily disturb your balance. This naturally earns respect without you needing to demand it. On the other hand, frequent emotional reactions often give others leverage. If someone knows they can trigger you easily, they may start using that pattern consciously or unconsciously. Emotional control breaks that pattern completely. It also helps in decision-making. When you are not emotionally overwhelmed, your thinking becomes clearer and your responses become more effective. You avoid unnecessary conflicts and maintain your dignity in difficult situations. Then you master emotional control. You stop reacting like a victim of circumstances and start responding like someone who is in charge, and that is what earns genuine respect. The law of scarcity is based on a simple psychological principle. People value what is not easily available. When something is abundant, it loses perceived importance. But when it is limited or selective, its value naturally increases in the eyes of others. This applies not just to objects, but also to your time, attention, and presence. When you are always available to everyone, always replying instantly, always agreeing to meet, always giving your energy without limits, people may start taking you for granted, not necessarily out of disrespect, but because constant availability reduces perceived value. On the other hand, when you become selective with your time and attention, people start noticing your absence and begin to value your presence more. Psychologically, scarcity creates curiosity. When you are not constantly accessible, people begin to wonder about you. They pay more attention to your time, your responses, and your choices. This shift naturally increases your importance in their mind without you having to demand it. However, scarcity should not be confused with playing games or intentionally ignoring others. It is not about manipulation, it is about having a life, priorities, and standards. When your time is structured around your goals and well being, your availability becomes meaningful rather than automatic. This principle also builds self respect. When you stop overgiving your energy to situations or people that don't deserve it, you preserve your emotional balance. You become more focused, intentional, and grounded. When you apply the law of scarcity, you stop being always available and start being meaningfully present. That shift alone makes people value you more and respect your time and presence naturally. The law of boundaries is about defining clear limits for how others can treat you, speak to you, and access your time and energy. Without boundaries, people naturally test how far they can go, not always out of bad intentions, but because humans tend to adjust to what is tolerated. If nothing is clearly defined, behavior gradually stretches beyond respect. When you set boundaries, you create structure in your relationships. You make it clear what is acceptable and what is not. This doesn't require anger or confrontation, it requires consistency and calm communication. For example, if someone repeatedly disrespects your time or speaks to you in a way you don't accept, addressing it once firmly and respectfully is often enough to reset the pattern. Psychologically, boundaries signal self-respect. When people see that you protect your time, energy, and dignity, they begin to adjust their behavior around you. They understand that certain actions will not be tolerated, which naturally increases respect. Without boundaries, others may unintentionally overstep, not realizing the impact of their behavior. Boundaries also protect your mental and emotional health. They prevent you from constantly feeling drained, overwhelmed, or taken for granted. Instead of reacting repeatedly to disrespect, you prevent it from becoming a pattern in the first place. It's important to stay consistent. A boundary that is set but not maintained loses its meaning. True power comes from calmly enforcing what you have already communicated without over-explaining or emotionally reacting. The law of boundaries teaches people how to treat you. When your limits are clear and consistent, respect becomes a natural response, not something you have to demand. Silent confidence is the ability to feel secure in yourself without needing to constantly prove, explain, or showcase your worth. It is a calm inner certainty that does not depend on attention, validation, or approval from others. When you carry this kind of confidence, your presence speaks louder than your words. Many people try to gain respect by talking more, defending themselves too much, or constantly showing what they can do. But in reality, excessive proving often signals insecurity. Silent confidence works differently. It is not loud, it is stable. You don't chase recognition, you naturally attract it through how you carry yourself. Psychologically, people are drawn to individuals who are comfortable in their own skin. When you are not desperate for attention or approval, it creates curiosity and respect. Others begin to observe you more closely because your behavior feels grounded and intentional rather than reactive or needy. Silent confidence also means you are okay with silence. You don't feel the need to fill every gap in conversation or justify every decision you make. This calm presence creates a sense of authority and emotional control, which people naturally respect. It also protects you from unnecessary conflict. When you are not constantly trying to prove yourself, you avoid ego-driven arguments and emotional reactions. You respond when needed, but you don't feel compelled to engage in every challenge. In simple terms, the law of silent confidence is about knowing your value without announcing it. When you stop trying to prove yourself to everyone and start trusting your own worth, people begin to recognize your confidence naturally, and that is where real respect begins.